Hi, this is David White coming to you again from Austin, Texas, with the 27th in the series that we call A Perfect Life. Our scripture tonight will be Matthew 5:38 through 42. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you not to resist evil. But whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take away your tunic, let him have your cloak also. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him who asks you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, don't turn away. Now, beautiful scripture that, in my opinion, and this is all just my opinion, has been used through the centuries to cause people who try to read stuff literally and really don't understand it to feel a lot of guilt. First of all, in looking at this, just understand that, number one, Jesus wasn't any milquetoast. He wasn't anybody's pushover. If you don't believe it, just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And secondly, he gave us credit for having a little common sense, what we used to call horse sense. So let's look at it with that in mind. First of all, you've heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Well, that's the old Hammurabi Code. Says, but I tell you not to resist evil. But whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. Did a little reading, and it didn't take much reading to find out that in Jesus' time, one of the ways to talk down to a person or to insult a person would be to slap him on the right cheek. Now, the assumption in the Bible is always that a person is right-handed. So, talks about slapping somebody on the right cheek. Well, that means a backhand slap. Now, not many people are going to get hurt by a backhand slap, hurt physically. But it was what he was talking about is when you run into somebody who somehow has a need to make you look bad or insult you, just understand that maybe they've had a bad day, or maybe they're just so insecure that they've got a need to put other people down. And don't crawl into that ditch with them. Then he says, if anyone wants to sue you and take away your tunic, let him have your cloak also. I learned about this about 30 years ago in the steps of a 12-step program I was involved in. First of all, Jesus is not saying here, I don't think, that no matter whether you're right or wrong, when somebody accuses you of something and wants to sue you, just give in to them. That's foolishness. And he certainly didn't do that. What I think he's talking about here is if you screwed somebody, you get your hand called, own up to it. In the 12-step program, we call it making amends. And if I've stolen from you, sure, pay you back. And if you want a little more, don't haggle about it, because it's my job to try to make you feel satisfied. So that's what he's talking about here. Now, if he wasn't talking about, I don't think, where somebody does you wrong, don't sue them. That's foolishness. I've got a friend who recently was was a victim of apparent fraud, and we were talking about it. He was reading this and wanted to know if I thought it was a violation to sue the person. And gosh, no, it's not what he's talking about, in my opinion. He's talking about if you've done somebody wrong, fess up and try to set the record straight. And he says, whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Now, in Jesus' time, living in Jerusalem, Jerusalem was an occupied country, and a Roman soldier could, just by tapping you on the shoulder with his spear, cause you under the law to work for him on a trip for 1 mile. Now, I guess the closest thing we'd have that here is if you're working for somebody. They can compel you, as long as you're working for them, to do what they want. But in addition to just doing the bare minimum, number one, do the bare minimum, but do it with a smile and do more than you have to just get by. Just enjoy your work and do it well. Then he said, give to him who asks you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, do not turn away. Once again, Jesus certainly was no idiot. And we all know that well, if we use good old horse sense, he's not talking about the case where somebody's trying to con us. That'd be foolish, in my opinion. What he's talking about is if somebody needs help and asks for your help and you can help them, don't worry about whether or not you're going to get paid back. Just help them if you can. Now, in Jesus' time, the old Jewish law, every 7 years, called the year of Jubilee, where any debts unpaid at the end of the year of Jubilee didn't have to be paid back. And so, as time for the year of Jubilee came closer, people tended to loan less. And then Jesus was saying, don't do that. If your friend needs help, you can help him, go for it. Now, I guess what this scripture is really saying, in my opinion, is get out of yourself. Don't take yourself so serious. And for goodness sake, do what you can for your fellow man. And don't worry too much about somebody insulting you or whatever. Get honest with yourself. That's a tough one sometimes. And help people when you can. So, thank you for coming this time. Hope you come back next time. And in the meantime, have a good time. Good night.